we're going to show you how to tint wood or other surfaces in a translucent way so that you can still see the grain and texture underneath. At the same time, you can add great colors and even metallics. And this technique has a built-in sealer. We wanted an easy formula that would essentially dye the porous surfaces of what we were decorating, and we wanted it to be water-based, but also strong. We found a way. Here's how we make our easy stain and how you can do it too, with love for a country house. By mixing paint into a wood sealer, we've made a formula that we've now used on concrete and metal, and you can even use it over paper for special effect decoupage. But today, we're going to demonstrate this stain formula on our antique toolbox. We cleaned this up with some sandpaper and removed lots of dirt, and it's looking really good, but we're going to make it look even better with ordinary craft paint mixed into our wood sealer. Just look at these vibrant color effects we were able to create with layers of translucent color. See, paint alone will obscure the grain of wood, even if you dilute it down with water, because watered down paint is hard to control and it grabs right into the pores of the wood too quickly and you can't really wipe it back very well. But by mixing the paint into a penetrating product like this wood sealer that's water-based, you can wipe it back and you can take the colors and you can blend them and layer them. So here's what the box and a little decorative piece of trim that we got from Amazon. This is what they look like before we start. We're going to scoop out the wood finish right out of the can and we're going to place it on a tray. It sort of looks like coffee mixed with milk, and it's about the consistency of dish soap without the bubbles. And I think that consistency is why it's so easy to work with. We're going to squeeze some paint on different parts of the tray, and we're going to mix as we go right in the middle of the tray. And that way we can make a light stain or we can make it on more intense on the fly. But backing up a little bit, we have to explain a few things about this wood finish. We first used it in 2020 to tint this garden bridge lavender. The formula was 1/4 cup of tinted primer made by Kills, and the color was berry punch. And we mixed that into a cup of the wood finish, stirred it together, and it added great color to the wood. But you could still see the grain, which is exactly what we were looking for. We didn't want some paint sitting on top that could peel off later. This product's waterproof, and it penetrates right down into the wood, and it pulls that color down into it. And as you can see, when we left a piece of wood out in the rain overnight, water beaded right up on the surface, but you've got that added UV protection when you add that paint into it, and that'll minimize the fading, but especially if you add a second plain coat on top. But the product itself, even the clear formula, which is the one we always use, it's actually amber. So you can use it on top of a color, like take the sealer and put it on top of a color, and it will create this antique gold glaze effect like we did on these blue posts, which we find this really good. It gives that old-fashioned look, aged look to something. Or you can mix the paint into it just a little bit at a time, in which case the gold color disappears pretty much altogether, giving way to the color you added. But for now, getting back to our box project, we're going to show you lots of decorative painting techniques all with one project. Here's technique 1. What we're going to do is we're going to prime the wood first with a coat of the waterproofer with no paint in it. And while it's still wet, we'll start blending the paint into it. Now the surface is ready to accept the tinted waterproofer. It sets up very quickly, and I can place my paint tray right down on the side without leaving any marks, and yet this product is still very workable. We're using a 1/2-inch artist brush and building up a 50-50 mixture of paint with waterproofer in pumpkin orange and a little bit of brown. And we're concentrating around the edges. We're going to leave the center more natural. Here you can see we've scooped up a little bit of the wood finish and are using it to help blend the paint into the wood. So it's all mixing it on the fly. And now we're going to use the same technique for adding blue and green accents to the box. And then we'll use technique 2. This is using a damp baby wipe to rub back areas to reveal more of the wood grain. This waterproofer actually takes several days to cure completely, but we can wipe back colors for at least the better part of an hour while we're working. Technique 3 is really a recipe for one of our favorite color layering combination, and that's pumpkin orange with a blue-green stain on top. We're going to layer these colors on carved appliques that we're going to be gluing to the sides of the box. So using a smaller artist brush will help us have fewer drips. So first the pumpkin orange chalk paint goes on straight, and then we mix our blue-green paint. Now we'll pour a little bit of our wood finish to one side in the tray. We do a little bit of priming first with plain wood finish. Now the magic begins as we begin layering in our blue-green. Probably this color combination works so well because of copper and verdigris and how well they look together in nature. And because the blue-green has been diluted with the wood finish, you'll be able to see some of the orange through the blue-green. Now we're going to let these dry. We actually let these dry outside and forgot about them and couldn't find them anywhere. We finally went outside to look for them. They'd been rained on, but all the blue stain stayed on perfectly. Now, if this had just been water and paint, it would have washed off, no doubt. Because we used the waterproofing mixed into the paint, it was protected from the rain. The wood finish set up so quickly on this old box, we were able to glue on our appliques the next day. But you can see how the colors on this box now vary between orange and brown and natural wood, but everywhere we've preserved the look of the wood grain. Here you can see how we've rubbed back some of the blue on the applique to reveal more of the orange. These appliques do a little bit more than decorate the sides of this box. They give us an opportunity to add a little bit more color, which brings us to technique number 4. Technique 4. We're going to add a shadow around the applique with some fluorescent green. And see, the thing is, you might think that shadows are usually gray or brown or something like dark blue, but what we think is why not try adding bold or even neon colors where you'd least expect it. We have a very small artist brush and a can of water and more of our wood finish plus lots of baby wipes, and with the help of these things we can feather and blend our translucent colors so that they look right at home, tucked in around the edges of the applique, fading into the orange box. We add color with a small brush and then we feather it out with a fluffier, larger brush that's dry. Use some of the wood finish on this brush if you need help blending. Or use a baby wipe. The thing is, the wood finish on this box is going to make it prime for blending, and you'll have a much easier job of it. You can also dip your brush into a little bit of water and use that to help you blend. So always give a little more thought when painting a shadow as to whether you can use it as an opportunity to add a vivid burst of color. The wood finish helps us layer, and layering helps us use these extraordinary colors and make these projects really colorful. Here's something that might be new to you, using 2 brushes, 1 in each hand if you can, and work in those colors. Let both hands work on your project at the same time. And here's technique 5, and this goes along with our fluorescent shadows. We call this adding hot spots, and what it means is use some really bright colors. Don't be afraid to try some neons and fluorescents. So here we're going to add hot spots of orange in our shadowy areas, and then on the sides of the box in the centers we're going to use our bright lemon yellow. And even though these colors are very bright, they end up being very subtle because the wood finish is helping them be translucent. And remember, you can still see the wood grain through it. And we'll add a technique 6 here. After the box has cured for a few days, we're going to wax with Waverly wax that's meant to go with their chalk paint line. That even though the wood finish is durable, the wax will add a nice warm glow that's perfect for an antique look. We're working outside and I'm wearing a mask because this product does have a strong smell, but also it can stay tacky for several days, but don't worry, it'll eventually dry to a great finish, and it is waterproof right away. When we filled this box with flowers for this project, it got very wet inside, but it didn't leave a single stain. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. We've now used this formula on both concrete and metal. And when we used it on concrete, we're really happy with how we could use the penetrating stain to go into the pores of the concrete, at the same time adding lots of layers of some of those favorite shades of green. We'll have to let you know if this holds up over time. And for the metal project, we painted this black gate bright teal, but to tone it back a little bit for our antique style garden, we used the wood finish clear on top. It added that gold patina, makes it look like real time worn metal, with the added benefit of waterproofing our gate. But more about this gate installation in a future episode. We hope to leave a comment if you have any ideas on using other sealers, maybe some that are meant for indoor use. We found them so far not to be as good as this one, and they're a lot more expensive, especially if you get them from the art department. But let us know what you think. And don't forget to visit SteffiMcCarthy.com for more photos and details on these projects, and click the sun logo to subscribe. See you later.